Hey y'all, Jeff Rowland here for Old Poppy's Fish Getters. Going to be talking about the Earl Worm in just a little bit, but before we do that, let me ask you a quick question. What do you think a bass does when it sees a smaller predator with food? Now, I believe that there is something built into their instincts here that it sets off a trigger. That's what helped me create the new concept that I have, the instinctive reaction lure. I use the acronym IRL for that. I like to call them Earl. It's good to have a name, all right? And it's a simple theory that anytime a bass sees a smaller predator with food, they instinctively react. Once again, we're going to talk about the Earl worm and how it works, but before we do, take a look at that blue arrow there. It is pointing to something that I've had a lot of questions on. What is that dang, old Poppy? Okay. Absolutely, you need to understand there's a little bit of sense to the madness here. I'm animating plankton, and if you look at the animation, or if you look at the illustration on the left, we see all sorts of freshwater plankton. Now, this is the type of food that a bass would have been feeding on until it's 6 inches long. And if you look at the yellow arrows, that reminds us of something that we probably have in our tackle box, right? I remember the first time I read that article that what the question was, what does a bass think a worm is? And that writer believed that it was things that they saw when they were young, microorganisms. We won't get into all the different titles. That's the yellow areas. That's something they were feeding on. The blue arrows are pointing to what I'm trying to animate. Same thing, small plankton that they would have ate when they were young. Just something that reminds them this is food. Another question I had was, what is this lure supposed to look like? It doesn't really look like anything. Well, I couldn't agree more. It doesn't look like anything we've seen before, but if you take a look at the creature baits, they don't either. Trust me on this one. The fish like this one. It's not always what we see, it's what the fish sees. For those of you that didn't see my first video, instinctive reaction lures, the struggle between predator and prey, they're not designed to be a primary lure. I don't throw these things when I go bass fishing until nothing else is working. I'm going to try all the stuff I've been using in the past decades. If I hit those days when things aren't working, this is one that can trigger them in those situations. There are two different presentations. The one on the left actually has a weight in the bottom where the plankton is, right? And I'm kind of hillbilly on this. Sorry about this. I've used small gauge wire. I've just shoved probably about 1/16 of an ounce worth of wire inside that thing. So when you retrieve it, it drags on the bottom. The other presentation on the right, you're going to have a weighted oh, by the way, both of these are Texas rigged. Texas rig with a bullet weight on the bottom, and that bottom animation is the plankton's gonna float up. I like calling those things apples, by the way. Now, I'm gonna apologize for what you're getting ready to see here. I don't have high-tech cameras that I can go underwater and show you pictures, but here's how these work and the principle behind it. Throw it out, let it sink to the bottom, slow retrieve, dragging that apple on the bottom right there, and then you're just gonna give it a quick little pop to 11 o'clock. Now, when you do that, that swings underneath there, and then you just drop that rod tip down. This is your trigger mechanism right here. Something has food. It's dragging it on the bottom, and it goes in for the kill. That's when the fish are going to more than likely strike this lure. Once again, slow retrieve, rod tip at 10 o'clock, pop it, drop it. That's how it works. All right, I finally have these for sale on Etsy.com. We were talking about building a website. We're still not sure what we're doing there. If you want to check those out, if you want some from me, you can make your own too if you just look at them. But for $10, I'll get you 1 crawdad, 3 worms, and that collector's prototype. Don't open those. I've got them numbered as I worked on them as the years went by. If this turns out to be anything, they could be a collector's item. And I'll also put in some instructions on how you can make Earl out of tackle that you already have. Okay, appreciate your comments. If you have any questions, you can comment here, or you can there's my email. You can reach out to me. I love hearing from you. But that's all I got for today, y'all. That Earl worm can be productive in tough situations. Until next time, God bless, be safe, and good fishing, y'all.